Okay guys, this is a big video for me. You see, recently my sister visited and she brought with her a bunch of our old retro games and consoles that she'd been holding on to for a long time. Included was my Game Boy Pocket, and it just brought back so many memories. I remember on one 3-hour trip to London, I played one game non-stop in the back of the car. That game was the Pokemon trading card game. It had been 25 years since I played it, and really I only remembered a few things. Firstly, that it was a great game. Secondly, I remembered the legendary birds and their abilities. And finally, that Golduck was absolutely my favourite card to build a deck with. And seeing how I've sort of thrown myself into YouTube recently, I decided that I'd put my old faithful Duck to the test and see if he can carry me through the entire game, whilst reminiscing and just re-experiencing this game in all of its glory. We'll get to the specifics about Golduck when the time comes, but first let's get through the tutorial. We're of course going to skip through it, but I'll give a high-level overview for those unfamiliar with the game, though of course I know many of you, like me, collected cards and just never played it. The game is a turn-based deck-building card game, and let's face it, these days that's a highly saturated market and enormously popular. But back then, digital forms of these were few and far between. And I have to be honest, the developers did an amazing job putting this out considering how many cards there are in the game. Much like the traditional Pokemon games, the battles primarily involve two Pokemon, whilst others sit on the bench waiting to be swapped in. You build up your own Pokemon's powers by attaching energy cards to them, one max per turn, and can evolve your Pokemon of the stronger variants, which typically demand more energy to perform their actions. If you knock out an opponent's Pokemon, you get to draw a prize card, which there'll be up to 6 of. You also have trainer cards that can have special effects such as drawing cards, healing, or searching your deck. There are some other mechanics such as weaknesses and retreating to consider as well. That's generally about all there is to it, nothing overly complicated. So, our first decision will be to select a starter deck. We choose Bulbasaur and Friends as it has more trainer cards in it. We only start with 60 cards, and no Psyduck or Golduck, so we will need to get them before we can properly begin. The game has 4 different booster packs that are given out as rewards for winning your matches. Psyduck and Golduck exist in the Laboratory booster pack. We have a few choices where to find these, but we settle on Joseph in the Science Club as he has the least prizes out of available options, so the matches will be shorter. Unfortunately, our first match ends in a loss as Joseph's Golduck causes us a lot of issues, but we generally have a lot of fun grinding matches out, with one particular highlight being Vaporeon one-shotting a Spearow. Venomoth also pulls some serious weight in the deck, with Venom Powder being a big nuisance for the opponent's Pokemon. When poison lands, that is. After a short while, we get what we're looking for, Golduck. Let's take a closer look. Golduck has 70 HP and is weak to lightning. He has Psyshock at a cost of 1 psychic energy that deals 10 damage and has a chance to cause paralysis, which would prevent an opponent's Pokemon from attacking or retreating for 1 turn. But the real deal here is Hyper Beam, which has a cost of 2 water energy and 1 of any type. It may only deal 20 damage, but the ability to remove energy cards from your opponent's Pokemon is huge. You see, without them, they cannot perform their moves, so if you get on top in an encounter, it's a real win-more situation as you keep them under your boot, or rather, under your webbed foot. You can't remove energy from benched Pokemon in this way, so there is counterplay, but we will be attempting to compensate for that with our trainer cards. We have one more quick task to do, accumulate some more water energy. These are in the Colosseum boosters, so we head to the water gym to challenge Sarah, where we only need to get 2 prizes to win the match. A short while later, we get what we need, change the settings to speed things up a little, and assemble the first iteration of our Golduck deck. First things first, we add as many trainer cards as possible, with some notable ones being 3 builds for more card draw, 3 Pokeballs to search for Golduck, 3 plus power to improve our damage output, and 3 full heal to help with status effects. We max out our water energies at 13, we could go for more, and leave some grass energies in for now just while we get things going. They can be used as the wild energy for Hyper Beam at least. We have only 3 Psyduck and 1 Golduck, which will change as we progress through the game, but it's technically enough for the challenge to begin, so be it. All other Pokemon get removed. And we're down to exactly 60 cards. Plenty of room for improvement, and we'll be checking in from time to time as we make adjustments. Future me will edit in the deck list onto the video. So, the challenge can now officially begin. For future reference, I will not be showing any member battles unless they are considered somewhat noteworthy. Considering we're only using one Pokemon evolution, I'll do my best to avoid repetition, and I will also do my best to not repeat myself unnecessarily. Whilst we're in the Water Club, we think we may as well start here and so challenge Amy to a duel. First thing of note is we sit on this screen and let the music play through because it is absolutely outstanding. It initially reminds me of Triple Triad, which is just a bonus, and so I'm actually going to write a little bit more in the script here just to extend our stay here. Seriously, what an absolute banger. Anyways, we open with no basic Pokemon in our hand, which triggers a mulligan. This will be common throughout the run as we will have at most 4 basic Pokemon in the deck at any one time. I won't be mentioning it again, but in case you're wondering, if you play the game in real life, there's a rule that lets your opponent choose to draw additional cards in the case of a mulligan, but this isn't implemented in the Game Boy version, so we are safe to run this strategy. Also, this first club leader battle is likely to be a little longer in the cut, just as a way of introducing certain concepts. As things progress, the cut will generally be quicker as I know patience wanes throughout the video. Back to the match. We have a decent opening hand with a couple of energies and trainer cards to support a single Psyduck. We attempt to use the Pokeball but unfortunately fail. Oh, and just to say, seeing as we're on the first battle and can get things out of the way, coin flips are absolutely a major part of this game and we will be seeing a lot of them. We put a Water Energy on Psyduck and check Horsey's ability before unleashing Fury Swipes, which deals a whopping 0 damage this time round. An excellent start to the run. Horsey replies with Smokescreen, which gives us a coin flip check before being able to attack. We attach a Psychic Energy, anticipating Golduck to appear at some point before attacking again. The coin flips roll all in our favour and we deal 30 damage. On Amy's turn she evolves Horsey to Seadra, and we see Water Gun, putting Psyduck in lethal range next turn. We can counteract this with a Defender, and try our luck with a Maintenance, throwing in Full Heal and Gust of Wind to draw an unwanted Grass Energy. We judge a Professor Oak is necessary here, and it ends up being justified as we get a Water Energy, which primes Psyduck for an evolution when we do eventually draw Golduck. And an energy removal we also get, which we use to reduce the potential damage inflicted by Water Gun. We roll 2 tails for our recycles and end our turn dealing 20 damage to Seadra. On her next turn, Amy starts charging up a Lapras instead of applying a Water Energy to Seadra, which makes sense as Water Gun would not deal any damage to us. On our turn, we get majorly lucky and draw our Golduck, so we get him in play and start the Hyper Beaming. We take Seadra down and claim a prize. Amy's Lapras gets a successful Confuse Ray on us, but we have full heal on hand ready for it. We exchange some more blows and use a potion that offers us some safety. Lapras soon falls and Amy sends in Seaking. We can now demonstrate the effectiveness of Hyper Beam. Amy keeps throwing energy cards onto Seaking, but as we keep removing them, we are only ever subject to Horn Attack, dealing 10 damage at a time. With apparent poor card draw, Amy sometimes can't even do anything on her turn, and her Pokemon are defenseless against our strategy, and toothless without their energy cards. Seaking drops and Amy fights back with a Horsey. She has a really interesting card, Super Energy Removal, that we had preempted by overstacking Water Energies onto Golduck. Things get a little dangerous with a successful Smokescreen slowing us down. We only have Golduck after all, so we have to take care of it. A successful Pokeball allows us to bring a Psyduck on the bench. We replenish Golduck's Water Energy and resume Hyper Beaming. Horsey falls and we now face a Squirtle. A couple of lucky Paralysis flips could spell trouble. There's one, which we full heal. Hyper Beam and no energy cards in Amy's hand means we don't see another bubble attack. Squirtle falls, but Golduck has only 10 HP left. We have 1 prize remaining and just pray Amy draws no energy cards. We get lucky and gamble on our turn, which again we luck out on. We get 8 cards and get a potion. This gives us the safety net we wanted to see the fight out. But we actually managed to end the fight this turn anyway by double plus powering and using Gust of Wind to bring in Goldeen. I'm sure you now get a sense of the strength of trainer cards, but also the RNG heavy nature of using them. We could have gotten Golduck from our first Pokeball, but we also just as easily could have had drawn 1 card with that last gamble, or even had Golduck under one of our prizes. Either way, the battle was not comfortable, but it was reassuring to get our first medal on the first try. We get a Psyduck from a booster pack and adjust our deck ready for the next club. We head to the Fighting Club and stop off at the PC to get some boosters in the mail. We'll be doing this a few times hoping to get desirable trainer cards. Mitch here refuses to fight us until we take down his students at the other clubs, so we'll just pop back later. We head to the Lightning Club. Isaac makes us battle his chums first, and though I won't show those engagements, we get a sense of how hard it will be against Lightning Pokemon, as their damage is doubled against Psyduck and Golduck. I'll sum our Isaac battle up pretty quickly. He uses a Kangaskhan to tank everything we can throw at him while he builds up a nice bench. We never really get going at all, and Taurus seals the deal. In the second attempt, we get through Kangaskhan and get Golduck out, but though we battle valiantly, taking 20 damage from a 1 energy attack is too much for a solitary Golduck. Even if the stars were to align for us, a 2 energy self-destruct from a Magnemite is a 1-hit KO. It's just too much at this point, so we head over to the nearby Rock Club where we take on Gene and his Rock Crusher deck. We open against a Rhyhorn, whose first Leer fails. We get a successful Pokeball flip and bring Golduck into our hand. Assuming we get some more energy cards, this should be a firm win. Gene focuses on building up his bench and Rhyhorn's second Leer is successful, meaning we can't attack. However, by evolving our active Psyduck into Golduck, we can circumvent this, but we need some more energy cards. We gamble, and it pays off. We get a Psychic Energy that allows us to use Psyshock, but we don't get a successful Paralysis. We have a bit of a back and forth, dealing with Leer some more, but eventually take down this tanking Rhyhorn. Onix is up next, but deals only 10 damage per turn to us. We somewhat foolishly use all our water energies on our benched Pokemon, which makes us vulnerable to an energy removal. We will learn to hold on to some spare energy to deal with this in future. A couple of turns later, we get the water energy we need and resume business as usual. Soon we face a Dugtrio, a very dangerous Pokemon to face. Thankfully, it appears Gene doesn't have that extra 1 energy card to cause us serious problems, and his bench is looking quite starved too. And soon enough we manage to take Dugtrio down. The rest of the fight is a formality, with a Diglett getting 1 shot with a plus power and 2 Geodudes causing no issues. The fight certainly petered out. You can see Gene's strategy. Tank with some beefy Pokemon while building up a bench, but unfortunately for him, he didn't have enough energy when needed. That's our second medal obtained. On our way out of the gym, we are interrupted by our rival, Ronald. These rival battles are inconsequential to the challenge, so we'll just move on. We head to the Fire Club where we can challenge club leader Ken. We open against a Magmar and have a distinct advantage here as water deals double damage to fire. This should be a formality. Magmar drops in 2 turns and Ken brings out a Jigglypuff that needs a whopping 3 energy cards to deal double edge. If we can get Golduck out soon, we can exploit this. We utilize a Gust of Wind, however, to try to mitigate our reliance on Golduck, bringing out Ken's Growlithe that we can deal double damage to. We knock it out in 2 turns and get another Gust of Wind as a prize. We take a double edge from Jigglypuff, putting us down to just 10 HP remaining. This is incredibly dangerous territory. We bring in Ken's Growlithe, use a plus power and gamble. We aren't lucky this time and draw only a water energy. Furthermore, we get triple tails, so plus power doesn't even kick in. Thankfully, Growlithe requires 2 energy to do its flare attack, so we have a little bit more time. We get a Professor Oak, which is perfect, but still have to wait for Golduck. We use a Pokedex and Golduck isn't waiting for us at the top of the deck either, so we use a maintenance to fish with no luck, and then gamble again with no luck. We probably aren't playing optimally, but desperate times do call for desperate measures. Ken's next play is obvious. Retreat Growlithe and double edge for the win. Ah well. Our next attempt opens much better, with Golduck in our opening hand with 2 builds. Outstanding. The battle proceeds much as you'd expect. We deal damage to Magmar pretty easily, but before we deliver the final blow, we use energy removal on Taurus to avoid taking an attack from it on Ken's turn. Unfortunately though, a triple tails situation delays us, so with Ken prioritising a Growlithe for energy, we have less concern and bring in Golduck for the finishing blow. Ken brings out Taurus, presumably to just tank while he charges up his bench. We use a Gust of Wind to bring out his Growlithe so we can target the energy card attached. We take Growlithe down and face Chansey, who is 1 tanky Pokemon. It is very much vulnerable to the effects of Hyper Beam, however, and Ken foolishly charges it up. Soon enough we take Chansey down and Ken's energy reserves are certainly dwindling. We get a Gust of Wind as a prize and face a Taurus, but Ken doesn't have the energy to support it. We do face a Stomp when Ken eventually uses a double colourless energy, but 20 damage can be managed and Hyper Beam does its business on our turn. The rest of the fight is a formality, with a Chansey delaying the inevitable and Jigglypuff just going down to a double plus powered Hyper Beam. It appears Ken has a very energy hungry deck, which we happily deal with. Grass Club next, but club leader Nikki isn't there. Thankfully I can do a little snip in the edit and magically conjure her into existence. Ready and snip. Let's go. We open against an Execute who puts us to sleep. We succeed on the sleep check and use an energy removal to remove the psychic energy, before attacking for 10 damage. Nikki adds a grass energy on her next turn so cannot perform any action. A couple of turns later, Nikki has been prioritising her bench and we take down Execute, claiming Professor Oak as a prize, which we hope will encourage Golduck to show up. Her next Execute is powered up for Leech Seed, which if left unchecked will deal with Psyduck fairly handily. We use a plus power and gamble successfully for 8 cards. A successful Pokeball lifts our spirits as well, as we look for Golduck in our deck, only to not see it, which means he's one of the prizes. Oh dear. We will have to fight it out with our Psyducks and wish for the best. We deal 30 damage with the help of plus power, and an active defender means Leech Seed will not heal on the next turn. We now want to deal 20 damage on our next turn, and is Triple Tails. Not good. Leech Seed heals Execute for 10 HP, which is just putting our KO further away. We take 20 damage and take another Leech Seed. We draw plus power and this is where the gambling kicks in. We take the risk and proceed with Fury Swipes and get the 20 damage we need and our prize, Golduck. What excellent fortune. Nikki sends in Gloom and Psyduck falls to poison. Thankfully we had been priming another Psyduck on the bench and evolve it to Golduck. We burn through 3 full heals staving off the poison, demonstrating again our reliance on trainer cards. As we are about to KO Gloom, we check the opponent's bench and see a Bulbasaur ready to deal 20 damage to us with Leech Seed, so we use a defender and claim our next prize. Nikki sends in Execute, perhaps wanting to save Bulbasaur for an evolution, and hoping to rely on sleep to get her there. We pass the sleep check and use our Hyper Beam on the wrong energy. We should have targeted the psychic energy to potentially prevent any further sleep, but it doesn't matter as Nikki evolves Execute to Executor. Big Explosion could be a problem depending on our luck. Thankfully we survive, but we have only 20 HP left. We Hyper Beam to lower the coin count and then thank our lucky stars as the next big explosion is a whiff. A gust of wind draw makes us assess our options, so we have to just proceed and see what happens. Hyper Beam again limits the coins for big explosion, which again whiffs. It seems that fortune is very much on our side, but we know Bulbasaur is coming to deal with us next. Leech Seed takes Golduck down, but we use our Recycle and again thank RNGesus for the positive outcome. We can put Golduck back on top of our deck. We use energy removal and then use Professor Oak to draw Golduck back to our hand and evolve our active Psyduck. The rest of the battle is less of an epic struggle. The only interesting thing is Nikki gets a Vileplume out, with a Pokemon power that delays us just slightly. But as previously mentioned, once we get on top, we stay on top, and soon the Vileplume falls and we claim our final prize. We appear to be doing quite well overall. We take a little break at this halfway point, and I think it's a good time for me just to be a little selfish here and say thank you for watching so far. I've only just started making videos like this, and it would mean a lot if people were to let me know if they were to enjoy my content. I'm hoping to get 500 subscribers sooner rather than later, and seeing people's reactions to my videos will help guide what I do and encourage me to keep going. I've got some ideas for the next Pokemon TCG challenge run, and I'm open to suggestions in the comments. Back to the game. We decide that having a single Golduck is causing a little bit of a bother. We are heavily reliant on just pure luck to get it into our hands and ready to play, so we just want more in our deck to make it more consistent. It is of course possible to just reset bad starting hands, but that's not really in the spirit of the challenge. We hit up our old friend Joseph in the science club and get to work. I'll see you later in the edit, and by later in the edit I of course mean like instantly, because that's just how editing works. Hello, you join us for Rick in the science club. Rick opens with Mewtwo, which does basically nothing. We actually get great coin luck with 70 damage out of 90 possible to take it down in 3 turns. Rick has been prioritizing his Grimers. We have to deal with paralysis and use a potion to stay healthy, but after a few turns we get a successful Pokeball and bring out Golduck. We still lose a turn or two here to paralysis, especially when we don't have full heal available, but it's basically a slaughter of Grimers. After a couple more go down, Rick is just out of Pokemon and we get our quickest win of the run so far. Whilst we potter about, we take on the fighting club members, which are scattered across the world. And I have to give a shout out to this one dude here, Chris, who took 4 attempts to take down. We'll explore the fighting Pokemon some more when we get to the club leader, but let's just say in a nutshell, dealing 20 damage from one energy is really tough to deal with. Next up is Murray at the Psychic Club, who opens with Beefcake Chansey. This has the potential to be one long one. A couple of turns pass and the only noteworthy event is a successful Pokeball, meaning Golduck will be ready to enter play when we have the energy to support it. Chansey causes frustration with her Scrunch, but once we get up to full power we can begin the war of attrition against Murray's energy cards. After a few more turns and 4 minutes in total of the battle, Chansey is withdrawn to the bench. Murray is powering up Kadabra on his bench, but in the meantime Mr. Mime briefly says hello before saying goodbye. We target Kadabra with an energy removal before delivering the finishing blow, but Murray sends out a Kangaskhan. A few turns later we get a gust of wind and take stock of Murray's play area. We sense that Kadabra is his only threat and use a gust of wind to bring it in. There is no way it will be powered up enough with Hyper Beam hitting it every turn, and soon it falls. Murray brings in a second Kadabra, but he does not have that important third energy, so Kadabra 2 suffers the same fate. The rest of the fight is just a slow slog, as we take on Chansey and another Kangaskhan that are no threat, but the fight actually ends with Murray milling himself. You see, if you're unable to draw a card at the start of your turn, you instantly lose. There are definitely strategies that exploit this, but that's for another video. So, medal number 6 under our belt. On to Mitch at the Fighting Club, with an honourable shout out to one of his students, Jessica, whom we lost to twice. The first fight against Mitch is an absolute car crash. Our opening hand is decent, but there is no Golduck yet. We need to compare Psyduck and Machop. On average, Psyduck will deal 15 damage per turn, but Machop deals a reliable 20 damage per turn at the same energy cost. This means we need to get lucky to even begin to compete. We draw Golduck on turn 2, so things look to be improving. We use a defender to prevent Machop's damage and hope to get that third energy out on turn 3. We don't get what we want and Fury Swipes falls short of the mark. 40 damage out of 90 available in total, a below average return. Mitch uses a plus power and Machop takes Psyduck down, a Psyduck we had committed extra energy to foolishly. Our issues are compounded when our new Psyduck completely whiffs its own Fury Swipes. We roll the dice on a couple of desperation moves, but I'll just spare you the clips and just say we got well beat. Attempt 2 can be summarized by this end clip. A Golduck tanking way too much, no benched Pokemon, and a Mankey scratching her eyes out to deliver the final blow. Attempt 3. By some cruel irony, we are given 3 Psyduck in our opening hand. We choose to let one face tank while building up another on the bench. A successful Pokeball brings Golduck to our hand, but we don't get the energy required to get him going, and very soon we get to see Hitmonlee using High Jump Kick, one-shotting Psyduck and two-shotting our Golduck. GG. These fighting Pokemon are turning out to be really tough. Attempt 4. We open versus Machop, go second, and use a potion to deal with the opening blow. We focus our water energies on our benched Psyduck. On turn 4, the Machop issue becomes bigger, literally, with it evolving into Machoke. We don't draw Golduck, but we do have Gust of Wind, so we use it to bring out Mankey. We also use Revive to return the KO'd Psyduck to our bench. We attack Mankey, but we're unsure if we want to defeat it. Mitch focuses on powering up his bench. We pass another turn and then get our Golden Boy. We have to get proactive, so use a Gust of Wind to bring Machoke back out. We also use a plus power to reduce his damage from Karate Chop. On Mitch's turn, however, he uses a potion, which means we take 40 damage. We calculate that Karate Chop will deal only 20 damage next turn, keeping us alive, so we carry on. But Mitch throws out another potion, restores the lost energy, and takes down our Golduck. Damn. It puts us in an unrecoverable position, and Mitch eventually finishes us off with a submission. Attempt 5 opens far more promisingly. We are against Hitmonlee, who needs time to get going and can't target our active Pokemon until 3 energy is reached. We thankfully get to go first and draw Golduck as our first card. We have everything we need to win this time. We chip away at Hitmonlee, get Golduck into play, and avoid playing benched Pokemon for now. When Mitch uses Defender on Hitmonlee, we check his bench and realize he has started priming another, so we use a Gust of Wind to bring it in and proceed to put our boot down. Soon we are ready to take out Hitmonlee 2 and check the status of Mitch's bench to see 2 fighting energies on Hitmonlee 1. We would defeat it in 1 hit, but he would get a turn in. We consider playing a Defender, but we bank on Mitch not having double plus power, and just decide to face up to whatever comes our way. He brings in Machop and proceeds to chip away at us, but his energy cards are getting depleted. In the meantime, we try to get our bench up and running as best as possible, and use potions to keep us out of Hitmonlee's lethal range. When it's time to KO Machop, we make the decision to instead Gust of Wind Hitmonlee in and just deal with that threat. We feel quite pleased that we've been able to deploy these sorts of tactics, and it goes to show just how strong Gust of Wind can be in the right situations. And now that we're on top of the encounter, it's just a matter of time and we finally take Mitch down. 1 medal left to go. We update our deck, finding space for a super energy removal. This card is going to be insane for us, and we're looking forward to using it. But now we have to deal with our lightning weakness. It's time to return to Isaac. Our first attempt is very much like our old ones. We just don't get going and get spanked by a lowly Voltorb. Attempt 2 is basically the same, but against an Electabuzz. We're definitely suffering if we don't get Golduck out with the right energies to support him. Attempt 3 starts with billing a Golduck. This is highly promising. We are against a Kangaskhan that we already know will be no threat, and a Taurus that could cause problems if appropriately powered. As turn 3 rolls around, we have dealt 50 damage to Kangaskhan and get our Golduck out. We will need 2 undefended and unpotioned Hyper Beams to take down Kangaskhan, so we use a Gust of Wind to bring out the only offensive threat. Taurus tanks for a few turns, aided by 2 successive defenders, whilst Isaac focuses on a benched Magnemite that he evolves into Magneton. We are preparing a benched Psyduck, but this Magneton will obliterate us if left unchecked, so we target it with energy removals. Prior to finally taking down the Taurus, we target Isaac's benched Magnemite with another energy removal to minimize any potential double damage that could head our way. Isaac sends out some Magnemite fodder for us to chew on while he charges up an Electabuzz. We make short work of it whilst getting a backup Golduck from a successful Pokeball. We are glad we've been able to do this, as Electabuzz succeeds with a paralysis coin flip. This encourages us to use our switch to bring backup Golduck into play. Isaac manages to get another energy onto Electabuzz, and his next coin flip is successful again. We use a potion and a defender for our safety and have to pass. Isaac makes a pro gamer move and uses his own Gust of Wind to bring our undefended and damaged Golduck out to party. Furthermore, he gets another successful paralysis coin flip. This match is turning on its head, but as of yet, Isaac does not have a big finisher Pokemon ready. We draw a Recycle and successfully place a Bill at the top of our deck. We are hoping to get some full heals out, but for now, just need to be patient. We use a Gust of Wind to bring out Magneton, a curious play, but we are hopeful that we can keep Isaac's damage output down whilst we regain a foothold in the match. Isaac blunders, placing a double colourless on a Pokemon that can't immediately use it. We eat it for breakfast, and soon we take Magneton down, whilst Isaac struggles with his energy supply. We say hello again to our old friend Electabuzz, and hello again to a Pikachu head paralysing us, but this time we have full heal ready. Isaac has only 2 cards in his hand, but still manages to get Electabuzz powered a couple of turns in a row, but fails on his coin flips. We use a plus power to finish off Buzzboy. We are now firmly in control of the encounter, but Golduck 1 is suffering. He gets taken down by another Electabuzz. This really is just a war of attrition between double damage Electabuzzes and Golduck's dislike of energy cards. We revive Psyduck and begin powering it up as an emergency backup, but it's business as usual as Golduck and Electabuzz exchange blows. Some coin flip fortune prevents our stress levels rising too high, and another plus power helps us see off the final Electabuzz. Oh, maybe it's not the final one. How many does he have? A successful paralysis flip is counteracted by us getting a successful Pokeball, which allows us to switch in Golduck 3. A couple of blows are exchanged and it seems Isaac has an unlimited supply of lightning energy cards, because we end up in a situation where Golduck 3 is actually needed. Seriously, I think we've had some decent luck, but nothing crazy, yet we have had to expend so much resource just to get through this encounter. Anyways, we bring in Golduck 3 that is damaged beyond the revive thing somehow, so maybe it was actually Golduck 2? Who knows? But either way, it finishes the job and we can put to rest the most challenging club leader for this run. What a ride. It's time to head off to the Elite Four, and by the Elite Four I mean the Grandmasters who possess the blah 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 blah. Let's just go Courtney. This should be easy for us, what with water dousing fire and all that. We open versus a Magmar and deal 40 damage off the bat. Magmar uses Smoke Screen in return, which leads to a failed coin flip for our next attack. Courtney then retreats Magmar to the bench and brings out a Moltres. This is a peculiar move as it needs 4 fire energy to use its attack. A couple of turns pass by and Courtney benches a legendary Moltres, her signature card. The unique Pokemon power gets 2 fire energy into her hand. We are still without Golduck and Moltres' next turn will involve Dive Bomb. We need to deal 30 damage, so we use a plus power and ask for 2 tails, or 2 heads rather. We get only 1 and know what is coming next. Dive Bomb. But it's a whiff. I'm just going to say it, for 4 energy, having a coin flip surely just makes this a terrible card. Anyway, we finish Moltres off, and the clock starts ticking for the next one. Thankfully for us, a successful Pokeball brings out Golduck, and that's just gotta mean GG, right? Just as we were about to finish this bird off, we check Courtney's bench and notice an Arcanine that would have the potential to deal 50 damage to us next turn, no coin flip included. With a plus power, this would KO our Golduck, so we use 2 defenders, although maybe 1 would have done, and see what happens. Arcanine enters the arena, but nothing happens. Courtney must have no fire energy. It would have only done 10 damage anyway, but regardless, we're happy. The rest of the fight is a gimme. Arcanine drops, another Moltres takes an L, another Magmar says bye-bye, and we one-shot a lowly Vulpix for the win. Easy peasy so far. Next up is Steve. Our first attempt, so yes, spoiler alert, it doesn't end well, is a spanking. Lightning is obviously our weakness, and the issue is compounded when paralysis is successful. Furthermore, Electabuzz needs only 2 energy for Thunder Punch, which will KO Psyduck regardless of the coin flip. We roll the dice with a double plus-powered Fury Swipes and miraculously it works for us, as we deal 50 damage and get rid of this Electabuzz. Unfortunately though, it merely delays our loss, as our coin flips don't deal with this Voltorb, and even when we do get Golduck out, a plus-powered tackle fells our Golduck, and our bench Psyduck stands no chance. On to the next attempt. Our second attempt is worse. We don't get Golduck and just get destroyed by Electabuzz. Next. Attempt 3 looks more promising from the starting hand, but a legendary Zapdos Pokemon power decides to hit Psyduck for 30 off the bat. We get Golduck in our hand, but no water energy for something like 5 turns, so it's just a loss regardless of what delaying tactics we employ. Attempt number 4 has our lucky mouse cursor, Yahoo! Apologies about that, I really didn't think about it being picked up by OBS. We start against an Eevee, which we'll definitely take, but hope Jolteon doesn't make a quick appearance. The early game frustrates us again with a low number of energy cards, but a successful recycle puts Bill at the top of our deck. It's no guarantee, but it'll help. We get a Psychic Energy and evolve up to Golduck. Psyshock has lower damage than Fury Swipes, but it'll help stall better in general, while we build up a nice hand and bench for the fight ahead. Soon, Eevee gets a successful quick attack and it's beginning to look like a bit of a difficult situation. But we get what we need for a Hyper Beam. We use an energy removal on a bench Voltorb in anticipation of it making an appearance. It does appear, and 1 tackle puts us 1 more tackle away from KO. We bill a potion out, which is good fortune, and resume Hyper Beaming. Steve doesn't have the cards to get another tackle out, so we begin to feel this could be a win. We take 1 Voltorb out just to see another. We have to use a defender just to stay alive. We don't have another Golduck in reserve yet, and take down the second Voltorb. Let's just say we're glad it only has 40 HP. The next 2 Pokemon that Steve sends our way are different flavours of Zapdos, who just get worn down by our Hyper Beams. We understand by now that we are certainly strong against big, energy-hungry dudes and not great against little ones that chip away at us and inflict statuses. A lowly Eevee gets taken down to see us win. 4 attempts. We'll take that for our weakest matchup. Jack. Oh, Jack. What an absolute pain this is. This encounter takes over 10 minutes and it was utterly boring. He uses Chansey and Ditto that basically do nothing but delay. and didn't get his Articuno going for Hyper Beam reasons. He otherwise relied on 2 seals to attempt to deal with us. Safe to say, this was very unnoteworthy and a massive slog. I don't know what clips I'll show in the edit as I write this script, but, you know, it is what it is. Rod, the least memorable of the legendary Elite Four Grandmaster people because he doesn't use a bird, he's quite unmemorable because this was by far the easiest fight. We open against the Kangaskhan and get a Golduck up and running quite quickly. Rod keeps adding energy cards to Kangaskhan in order to use Fetch, and has a couple of Magikarp on the bench waiting for Gyarados to show up. Unfortunately for Rod, once Kangaskhan is gone, his Magikarp becomes sitting ducks. We take one down, then another, and then face 2 Dratinis in a row that face obvious fates. We ran the fight off against another Magikarp, and that's that. We guess Rod had some terrible misfortune with his evolution cards, but we can't complain. What a breezy fight. And just like the main games, there's a surprise in store for us as our rival Rodney has already got the legendary cards. On guard, Rodney! Rodney has assembled what can only be described as a cool deck. 3 legendary birds, the Eevee evolutions, and the Dragonite chain. It's like being 10 years old and just stacking cool stuff. But is it good? We'll find out. We open versus Dratini and we are shown Articuno's Pokemon power that successfully paralyzes Psyduck straight away. We full heal, fail a Pokeball, and Fury Swipe for 10. Next turn, our desperation intensifies. We have no bench reserve and no Golduck on hand. We energy up and swing for another 10. Next turn, we potion and check what's going on with Rodney's Vaporeon on the bench. Fight for 30, assuming he can get the requisite energy. Another crap Fury Swipe frustrates us. We need something good to happen soon. Next turn, we attempt to put Dratini to bed but fail horribly. That's 30 out of a possible 120 damage done in total. One more turn later, we finally manage to do it and face up against another Dratini. 10 HP left on our Psyduck. We bill a bill, and bill a potion with that bill. We potion, get a backup Psyduck, power it, and swing for 10 damage. Next turn, still no Golduck, we swing for another 10. This is going horribly. Rodney evolves Dratini to Dragonair and gets a successful slam, dealing a whopping 60 damage to us. It's all down to Psyduck too. We feel like just saying whatever to this attempt, and so just double plus power. We deal 40 damage in total, and then Rodney brings out Dragonite. Dragonite immediately heals for 20 damage from his Pokemon power and begins slamming. 30 damage to Psyduck. We potion. We try to stall by using Gust of Wind to bring out Articuno. A fair few turns pass by and Rodney isn't attempting to retreat Articuno, instead prioritizing his bench. Furthermore, his deck does not include water energies, so he can't power it up to attack. He also does not have a switch. So we eventually get Golduck, get Articuno into lethal range, and just kinda sit for a little while we build up a reserve of our own. We then get a little tactical nudge, as Rodney uses his Professor Oak to draw through his deck. We realise in this moment that we can mill him. Many more turns pass by and Rodney does not realise his mistake. We do take pity, and when we are clearly guaranteed the win, we take down his Articuno and a Flareon, but though it feels a touch cheap, a couple of Golducks supported by trainer cards should have been sufficient had we started our offense a few turns earlier anyway. And there we have it. That's the end of our journey. Can you beat the Pokemon TCG with only Golduck? Hell yeah, Golduck rocks. We needed to be patient at times to get a foothold in the engagement, but once we did it, it was plain sailing. Mostly. We had some epic fights that were down to the wire, but just like a coin flip, we also had some that were the complete opposite. I did wonder if Golduck ever made it into some kind of meta deck at the time, but who knows. I'll leave it to some knowledgeable viewer to comment perhaps. Although, I am reading this off a script, but since writing the script I have watched a couple of videos, and spoiler alert, Golduck was not in any meta deck at all. So it doesn't feel like I've just picked the most powerful Pokemon to run through this game. Okay, it leaves me now to just close the video with a little bit of an impactful statement perhaps. It's the beginning of 2026. I'm going to give YouTube a bit of a go as a hobby this year, and just see how long I enjoy it for. I will go back to Diablo 2, so if you're interested in that, check out my previous videos. And I have a couple of runs I really want to do for Pokemon TCG as well, and I'm always open for suggestions. But as ever, it really comes down to what engagement I get. So if you like the video, please let me know in the comments and by clicking the like button. I don't tend to like it when creators do this, but as someone who's just starting out, it really helps give me a steer. Okay, that's a wrap. Thank you very much for watching, and we will be doing more Pokemon TCG in the future. Catch you again soon.